Just want to make a quick video, something I did to fix my CorseAiR 1. My CorseAiR 1 was crashing constantly, just rebooting, blue screen of death. It was driving me nuts. I didn't know what was going on, and I made the decision to actually just bring it to the computer store, but I had a few days before I could bring it. So I kept trying different options. And one of my options was to boot up to the restore USB thumb drive that I created for the CorseAiR 1 to see if I can maybe reset everything. Now, what I usually do is I keep one drive, which is the main drive that comes with the computer. I keep the operating system on there, and all my data, I keep it on a second drive. This is my second drive. This is an external, sort of like a RAID box, and there's 4 drives in here, and I just use this as to keep my data, and that way, whenever I have a situation like this, worst case scenario, I just have to reinstall all my programs. So I usually make my life a lot easier by keeping my data separate, photos, pictures, everything separate from the main drive. That way, if I have to do this, I don't have to worry about moving anything over or saving anything. So anyway, I booted up to the drive, and I kept doing. So I tried this at first. It was in this. This is the actual screen you get when you boot up to the restore disk on the CorseAiR 1, and I chose this one. Okay, and then there's 2 options here. Just remove files. Use this if you're keeping your PC, right? So I kept choosing this. It would do it. I tried this about 3 or 4 times, but I still kept getting the blue screen. I still kept getting errors. I kept getting some DLL errors for some reason every time I used this. Missing files, Windows is missing this, CorseAiR 1 program is missing that. So I was having a lot of issues in regards to that. I wish I would have filmed what was going on, but I didn't think it was a big deal. So I made this video just in case anyone else is going through the same thing. I kept doing this. I did this. It went through. It worked. But when the Windows would boot up again, it continued to crash. So I decided, let me do this one, because if I'm bringing it to the computer store, I don't want anybody nosing around. God forbid I save my login information for something and they find it. So I said, you know what? Let me go here and do fully clean the drive. Use this if you're recycling your PC. This can take several hours, which it did. It took a long time. I think it took about 2 or 3, between 2 to 4 hours for me. But I kept picking this one, and in the middle of it restoring and recycling, it kept crashing and giving me blue screen. So since I had nothing to do, I just kept on trying. I think I booted and chose this option another 3 or 4 times as well, and it just wasn't taking. The final time, the 5th or the 6th time I tried, this took about, I'd say about a day and a half, 2 days before it actually went completely through. I'm in a room that I have this big screen and I could see it from afar. So I would see it wasn't working. I would reboot, do the same thing, and said, I need to choose this option if I'm bringing the computer to the computer store. And I kept choosing it until it finally worked. Finally, about the 5th time. So I just kept trying. It kept giving me blue screen. It kept giving me crashes. I kept trying. It booted to this. It went in fine. Okay. So Windows restarted. Now, one of the things I saw was I was no longer getting DLL missing file errors when I logged in, when I set up the user file. That all went away. It just stopped giving me the errors. I was surprised because I didn't think that would happen. I thought I would still get into Windows. It fully cleaned it, but if there was something physically wrong with this computer, it should still give me the errors it was giving me when I did this. That's what I assumed. But it didn't do that, and it kept working. So then I started running some scans and some stress tests, the CorseAiR stress test, and the other stress test programs I have. So again, this is just let me boot into Windows. So I just booted into this so I can show you. But let me boot into Windows. Let me show you what I ran. So here I am. I booted up to my CorseAiR 1. I am completely booted up. And it's, so as you can see, the PC came up, no issues, no errors, nothing. It just came up. I just logged in. It came up. I removed the USB thumb drive, restore disk, and I ran this program, the CorseAiR diagnostic. I first ran this program when I was started to have the issues, and it started slowly, like it would do it once a month. If I figured out, it was a hiccup on one of the programs, but then it would also do it. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And again, I created the restore. I restored it back for me to use it, and I was still getting the same errors. When I would run this program, when I first was having the issues, I was able to run this program. It came up, it said no hardware issues. And I thought to myself, well, maybe there's no hardware issues. I'm not sure what's going on. Or maybe this is not picking it up. I was unsure of what was going on because it wasn't picking up any kind of errors with the M.2 drive that's in here. That is a lot of work to replace, and I just didn't want to do it. I was going to give it to a computer guy and let him do it. But again, this was showing nothing. When I restored it back for normal use for myself, I started getting problems with this program. I would start it up and I would get like missing DLL files, all kinds of issues with the program. Sometimes it would run, sometimes it wouldn't. It was having some issues. Anyway, so I ran this program, and when I restored it back, my final restore, so I can give it to the computer guy for recycling or for resale, when I reset it completely and just, I don't know what it did, but it must have wiped everything out, any kind of glitches or errors that was within the drive. Because now, when I go to, let me see, performance? No, this was not it. I'm looking for the stress test. Okay. This test here, the diagnostic test, and it tests everything. It tests the hard drive, everything. And I ran it, and I didn't pass one count. So I had to go away, and I had to. I wouldn't be back for 3 days. 3 days. Before I would be able to get back in time so I can bring this to the computer guy. I kind of ran out of time. So what I decided to do is, you know what, let me leave it on. Let me see what happens. So I monitored it from afar. And what I did was, this pass count is 1. Let me show you what you can go up to. Okay, that's how you get to it. So I went here to diagnostic, this one here. Chose that one, and on the diagnostic, since I was gonna go away for 2 or 3 days, I really wanted to see if I can really stress this computer out as much as I could, and decided to do not a quick, not a full, but a stress scan. And I did it at 100 count. So it's gonna do it 100 times. And I monitored the computer from afar. It took about a day and a half for this actually to go to cycle through 100 times. Not only that, while I was doing that, I ended up deciding to add more tasks to the computer, which was to, there's some files that were in here about a terabyte and a half of files that I needed to move from this SSD drive to the RAID box I have. This one here that I use, and it has 4 drives in it, I believe, and it has a fan in the back, and it works really well to keep my data as safe as possible. So I would let the computer give it the task of actually moving everything from here to here, and I left. And when I got back, the transfer of files were complete. The computer did not reboot, because it would have reboot or gotten the blue screen of death. I was monitoring it from afar, but on my way back, I wasn't monitoring it. It did not reboot because you need to log in when you reboot. So you need to have a username and password. And it didn't give me that option when I got home. It actually booted up. I mean, it was actually still in the same state that it was when I left the computer, which is, it finished the scan. This came up with, 0 errors, no issues whatsoever. And the file transfer was complete. It worked really well. So it's been now going on about 5 days that this computer has not rebooted on its own or gotten the blue screen of death. Hasn't crashed at all. The only reboot I did was to show you the boot up option that I chose from this restore thumb drive that I ended up doing, and it looks like it fixed it. When I reset the computer to be reset to a recycling mode, a giveaway mode, a selling mode of the computer, whatever it did, it wiped whatever issues. Now, I'm pretty sure it was a software issue. Maybe there was something wrong with the image, the original image. I made about 4 of these, and no matter which one I tried, it just never worked. That's why these restore thumb drives, when you first get a computer, are so important. If you're listening to this, get a restore drive. If you're giving your computer to a computer guy, you want to be able to hand this to them to make life a lot easier, and they don't have to search for the restore for the CorseAiR 1. I'm assuming the website may have an option, or the 800 number that you can call for CorseAiR 1. They may have an option to give you the restore disc. You might have to pay for it, but it's nice to have it at hand. And usually when you need it, like I did, I just did not have the time to make a phone call or anything. So this allowed me to do it on my own, fix it, and it looks like it's fixed. It's going on 4 or 5 days now, no issues, has not rebooted itself at all, working just fine. So I'm just sharing this information for anyone who may be having the blue screen of death. They can't afford to get a new drive. They don't want to go in there. I mean, it's a big process. I think you have to remove the CPU and a bunch of, this is a very small, it's small in here. I did a video on look at on the inside of this thing, and it's very small, a lot of screws. If you don't want to do that, and because if it turns out that you want to upgrade the M.2 that comes in here, you want a larger drive or what have you, that may be the reason you may want to swap it out as well. But if it's just a hardware issue and you can live with the drive that it came with and you just want it fixed, try this. I think this is a lot easier to end up doing instead of having to replace the M.2 drive, which could get a little bit, you got to know what you're doing when you're in there. That's all. But it worked for me, and just wanted to share that information with you. Usually another thing that I do is under, let me just show you. in my computer system, what I end up doing, this is a 4 terabyte SSD. This is the second drive. I replaced the, I think it was a 5 terabyte that came with it, spinning drive. I put an SSD in there. And what I do is, because this is only a terabyte in size, I just leave Windows pretty much empty like this. And I also add, I just install all the programs on my second drive. So that's an option as well. And that's what I do to keep this as empty as possible. I will be doing, now that the computer's working and everything, I will be doing and adding an additional 4 terabyte SSD drive for data. I'm going to use it as my desktop drive so I can drag and drop stuff instead of having to use this one. And that'll be another video I'm going to do. That's going to be a do it at your own risk idea that I'm having, and hopefully it'll work. But that's another video. All right, so I hope this video helps. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye now.